Welcome to our channel. Today we're talking about the book, The Almanack of Naval Ravikant, A Guide to Wealth and Happiness by Eric Jorgenson. Have you had a chance to check it out?
I have, yeah. It's not your average book, that's for sure.
Right. It's like a compilation of wisdom, all drawn from navals like tweets and blog posts and podcasts from over a decade.
It is, yeah. Like a decade's worth of thinking condensed into this one book, which can be pretty intense, but also really, really insightful.
Definitely. And he dives deep into, building wealth and then cultivating happiness.
He does, and it's interesting because he doesn't shy away from sharing his own journey. He went from pretty humble beginnings to becoming this successful entrepreneur and investor.
Yeah, he really opens up. And I think that makes the principles he talks about seem so much more attainable. Because you see, okay, he walked the walk.
It makes it feel real, not just some theory.
Yeah, exactly. So let's dive into the wealth building part first. Naval's got this core belief that making money is a skill you can actually learn. Not just something you're born with or luck into. He actually said he thinks he could build wealth again even if he was dropped off with nothing in any English-speaking country.
Bold statement.
It is. But it really emphasizes how important mindset is. He really believes anyone can acquire the skills and knowledge to build wealth.
He does, and it ties into this idea that it's not about the hand you're dealt. It's about how you play it.
Oh, I like that. So how do we learn to play this wealth-building game? Well, he had this epic tweet storm a while back called How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky. It went super viral.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. It was like a masterclass in a series of tweets.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things that stood out to me was the difference he makes between seeking wealth and chasing money or status.
It's huge, that distinction. They're totally different goals, wouldn't you say?
For sure. He's not talking about, a life of luxury or showing off.
Yeah.
Real wealth for him is owning things that make money even while you sleep.
Assets, yeah. And money's just a tool to get those assets.
Totally.
And status is fleeting. It comes and goes depending on who you're with or what you're doing.
Totally. And I appreciate that he's really big on making wealth ethically. It's not about exploiting people. It's about creating something valuable for society.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's about providing value and getting rewarded for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that takes us to one of his big principles, specific knowledge. It's not just random facts.
No, yeah.
It's about knowing something that's uniquely yours. Based on your experiences and your skills, your passions.
It is finding that thing you're uniquely good at, what you can offer that no one else can. He talks about figuring out who and what needs you the most.
Right. That's where your real value lies.
Yeah.
And that's where leverage comes in.
Leverage. It's this force multiplier, right? It makes the impact of your specific knowledge so much bigger.
Exactly. And we live in this amazing time where there's so much leverage available, especially with things like code and media. You can reach a global audience with just an internet connection.
It's mind-blowing. He talks about 4 kinds of leverage: labor, capital, code, and media. The first 2, those are kind of traditional. You need someone to hire you, you need someone to invest in you. But code and media.
Yeah, those are permissionless.
Exactly. You don't need anyone's approval.
It levels the playing field, really. And that ties in with this other principle, which is playing long-term games with long-term people, like relationships and trust. They become so valuable over time.
It's like compound interest, but for relationships.
Oh, that's good. And it all leads to accountability, too. Owning your work and your decisions, even your failures, really.
Taking responsibility builds credibility and reputation. Right?
Yeah. And Naval talks about how he pushed himself out of his comfort zone when he started talking publicly about philosophy and crypto, which was really his thing before.
It can be scary putting yourself out there like that.
It can. But it also leads to growth. Okay, so we've got specific knowledge, leverage, long-term games, accountability. What about making the right decisions, like having good judgment?
That's essential. And Naval actually thinks good judgment is more valuable than even hard work in today's world.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
How do you even, build good judgment?
He suggests building a toolbox of what he calls mental models.
Mental models.
Yeah, frameworks for thinking that come from all sorts of different fields, like economics, psychology, even physics. It gives you different ways to look at things so you can make smarter choices.
Okay, so mental models, got it.
Yeah.
For our listeners who are really into this personal growth stuff, I think the Affirmify Journey channel on YouTube would be a great resource. They have all kinds of motivational content that's really inspiring.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. So we've talked about all these things, but what about luck? It seems like some people just get all the breaks, right?
Doesn't it? Like, where's the fairness in that?
Well, Naval's got some interesting thoughts on that. He says, yeah, luck exists, but it's not all random. You can actually, increase your chances of getting lucky.
Really? How do you just, carry a lucky rabbit's foot or something?
No, not quite. He talks about creating what he calls your luck surface area, like taking actions that increase the chances of something good happening to you.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this. How do you make yourself luckier?
Well, he actually breaks down luck into 4 categories.
4 categories of luck. Okay, let's break it down. This sounds fascinating.
Okay, so he calls them blind luck, luck from hustle, luck from preparation, and luck from your unique character. Blind luck, that's just pure chance, right? Nothing you can do about that.
Okay, so like winning the lottery.
Right, exactly. But the other 3 types, those are all about things you can actually control. So luck from hustle, that comes from putting in the work, taking action, making things happen.
So the more you do, the luckier you get, kind of?
Basically, yeah. It's like the more you put yourself out there, the more opportunities you create for yourself.
Makes sense. Okay, what about luck from preparation?
That's about having the skills and knowledge so you can actually take advantage of an opportunity when it pops up. You know that Wayne Gretzky quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take?
Yeah, I love that one.
It's like you got to be ready when luck comes knocking, you know?
I get it. Be prepared. All right, so last one. Luck from your unique character. What's that all about?
This one's interesting. It's all about who you are as a person. Your values, your integrity, how you treat people, your reputation. Like when you build a solid character, it tends to attract good things and good people into your life.
So good character creates its own luck, in a way.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. And it's a perfect bridge to the other big theme of the Almanack, happiness. Naval's take on happiness is pretty unique, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like most people think happiness is something you find, right? But he says it's more like something you build.
Exactly. It's not about achieving something or getting something. It's all about your inner world. It's an inside job.
Wow, that's deep. And he actually, treats happiness as a skill, like something you can practice and get better at.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about it. Like, he admits that he wasn't always a happy person. He had to really work at it. He had to make a conscious effort to change his mindset.
He actually says he went from rating himself like a 2 or 3 out of 10 on the happiness scale all the way up to a 9 or 10.
And consistently. It shows that it's possible to change, right? To get better at being happy.
It's encouraging, for sure. So how do we start? What are some of Naval's big ideas about happiness?
Well, one of the core principles is that happiness is a choice. Like, it's not something that just happens to you. You decide to be happy, and then you make it happen.
Wait, so you're saying we could just choose to be happy? Even when things are tough?
Well, he acknowledges it's not like flipping a switch. It's a practice, like training your mind.
Yeah.
He talks about this idea of 2 different games we play.
Okay, 2 games. What are they?
He says there's the internal single-player game of happiness, and then there's the external competitive games that we often get caught up in. Like always trying to be better than someone else or achieve some external marker of success. That kind of game is never ending, and it rarely actually makes you happy.
Right, because it's always focused on what other people think, not on what actually matters to you.
He gives this great analogy. He says, society tells us to go work out, go look good, go make money, buy a big house.
Yeah, we hear that all the time.
But those are all external games. Like, it's all about outward appearances. But the game of happiness, it's all internal.
Yeah, you can't really measure it, right?
Exactly. And that brings us to another big idea. Happiness requires peace. Like inner peace, that sense of calm and serenity, that comes from within, not from what you achieve in the world.
I can see that. But how do we get there? It's like we naturally want to strive for things, right? To have goals and dreams.
He's not saying goals are bad, but he warns against getting caught up in what he calls nexting. That's when you're always focused on what's next instead of being present in the moment.
Oh, I do that all the time.
We all do it. It's like always thinking about the next thing on your to-do list, the next goal to achieve, instead of just enjoying where you are right now.
It's exhausting, for sure. So how do we, stop nexting?
He says it's about cultivating a sense of presence, learning to appreciate the journey, and finding joy in the simple things, like just taking a moment to breathe and appreciate what's around you.
Yeah, I can see how that would be more peaceful. Okay, so what else? Any other tips for being happier?
Well, envy is a big obstacle to happiness, he says. Comparing yourself to others is a recipe for misery.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. Social media makes that even worse.
It does. It really does. It's like you're always seeing everyone else's highlight reel and feeling like you're not good enough.
And it's not even real.
Exactly. Nabel actually shares this story about how he realized he wouldn't actually want to trade lives with anyone, even the people he envied.
Huh. That's kind of a profound thought.
It is. He came to understand that everyone has their own unique journey, their own struggles and triumphs. Comparing yourself is pointless, really.
Yeah, you're never going to win that game. So, if happiness is like a skill, what are some practical things we can do to get better at it?
Habits are super important, he says. Things like meditation, exercise, expressing gratitude, even just getting more sunlight, smiling more often.
Wow, those are all pretty simple.
They are, but he stresses that consistency is key. It's about incorporating them into your daily routine, making them non-negotiable.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But what about when things go wrong? Life throws curveballs. How does Nabel's philosophy handle that?
He's a big believer in acceptance. He says in any situation you have three choices: change it, accept it, or leave it. And a lot of times we focus so much on trying to change things, but acceptance can be so freeing.
Acceptance.
Especially accepting things you can't change. He talks about the importance of even accepting, like death.
Whoa, accepting death. That's pretty intense.
It is a big concept, but he approaches it in this practical way. He says being aware of death helps you prioritize what really matters, let go of the small stuff, and appreciate life more.
So it's not about being morbid, it's about using it as a way to focus on living a better life right now.
Exactly. He even gives some hacks for cultivating acceptance, like looking back at your past struggles and seeing how they helped you grow, or trying to find the good in every situation.
Oh, I like that. Finding the good in everything. It's like choosing to look for the positive even when it's hard.
Yeah, it's about reframing things. He gives
Okay.
this example of someone sending him like 100 photos after an event.
Well, I hate that.
Right. But instead of being annoyed, he decided to reframe it as a chance to practice his judgment, to choose his 5 favorite photos.
Okay, yeah, I could see how that would change your perspective.
And at the end of the day, it's about choosing to care for yourself. He puts health, physical, mental, and spiritual as the foundation for everything else.
So it's not just about working hard or achieving things, it's about taking care of yourself first.
Yeah. He's really critical of like the modern lifestyle, our
Yeah.
diets, the lack of exercise, the constant distractions.
It's easy to fall into those traps.
It is. It is. But he has some interesting ideas about how to break free. He talks about things like cold showers and intermittent fasting.
Ooh, those sound intense.
They're not for everyone, but they're examples of how challenging yourself physically can actually help you mentally and emotionally too.
Okay, so it's about building resilience, pushing your limit.
Exactly. And along with physical health, he's a big advocate for learning and personal growth. He believes it should be a lifelong thing.
Like never stop learning.
Never. He calls reading a superpower, and he encourages people to read widely, even things you might disagree with.
To broaden your perspective.
Yeah. And he recommends all sorts of books, especially in philosophy, science, and history. He thinks knowledge is crucial for wealth and happiness.
That makes sense. So it's not just about like learning how to make money, it's about expanding your mind in all sorts of ways.
Right. And he really encourages people to find their own path, to be authentic to themselves.
And not just follow the crowd.
Exactly. He has this great quote, "Escape competition through authenticity."
Oh, wow. You love that.
It's about realizing that you have something unique to offer the world that no one else can.
So inspiring. Okay, after diving into all this naval wisdom, what does it all mean for us? Like, what are the big takeaways?
I think one of the biggest things is this idea of taking ownership, right? Like
Yeah.
taking responsibility for your own life, your own happiness, your own success.
Yeah, it's about being proactive.
Yeah.
Making choices instead of just letting life happen to you.
Exactly. And both the wealth building and happiness stuff, it all comes back to building a strong foundation.
Okay, strong foundation. What does that mean?
Well, it's like building a house. You need the right structure to weather any storm, right?
So we're building a metaphorical house here
Yeah,
to help us handle the ups and downs of life.
exactly. And the Almanack, it gives you the blueprints, it's got those tools, those mental models, so you can make better choices, build those lasting relationships.
And find that inner peace that's not dependent on like what's going on around you.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between like practical stuff and deeper philosophical thinking. You're not just learning things, you're actually internalizing them.
You're making those ideas a part of who you are.
Yes. That's where the real transformation happens. It's not about passively reading. It's about engaging with the ideas, challenging yourself, and then, most importantly, taking action.
Putting it all into practice.
Exactly. It reminds me of that quote by Goethe, "Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do."
Oh, I like that. So we have to, like, put in the effort.
You do. And I think what's so cool about Naval's message is that he doesn't define success in this narrow way. It's not just about, like, money or status.
It's about living a life that feels authentic, that's aligned with your values.
Exactly. It's about finding that deeper sense of fulfillment.
So we're creating our own definition of success.
Yes, and that's a journey, right? It's something you work on throughout your life. That's why the Almanack is one of those books you can revisit over and over again. You'll find new things each time you read it.
It's like having a wise friend offering you guidance along the way.
And speaking of guidance, for our listeners who are looking for more inspiration and motivation, I always recommend the Affirmify Journey channel on YouTube.
Oh yeah, they have some great videos.
Really positive and uplifting stuff.
And for those who are looking for more, like, structured learning, like courses or ebooks, lingopediamagazine.com is a great resource.
Lots of great stuff on there to help you, like, level up in different areas of your life.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, what are your final thoughts?
I think the key takeaway is this. You have the power to create the life you want, both in terms of wealth and happiness. It's a journey that requires effort and commitment.
But it's a journey worth taking.
Absolutely.
Well, that was fantastic. Thanks for joining on this deep dive into the Almanack of Naval Ravikant. For our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel, share it with your friends, and give us a like. We love hearing from you, so leave a comment below and tell us what you thought. What are you going to put into practice from what we talked about today?
Yeah, let us know. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.